Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Sonic Movie Show, the only show that reviews every single video game movie. There's a few of these video game movies we review multiple times, and for our fifth time reviewing Sonic the Hedgehog 2, released in 2022, is us. We're the usual crew. My name is Ethan. As always, with me on this perilous journey into the labyrinth zone is Devin. How's it going?
Are you sure about this?
Yeah, it's what I thought. It was like, there's a lot of stuff going on in my life right now. I don't have time to watch this movie. Did I maybe watch some of the movie at 1.5 times speed in VCL? I don't know. Maybe. I'm not going to confirm that.
I
was
mean,
it
to
a
be
lot
fair,
funnier when I was moving faster? I don't know. We'll see.
I mean, I was on my phone a couple times for this, but I also know every beat to this movie.
Same. We watched. So I was making thumbnails for stuff. For stuff that might.
So I guess
if
if you're watching
this, I don't know.
if you're watching this and you're going to be mad about us maybe being slightly distracted, and that kind of breaks our code of conduct compared to the other movies we reviewed. There's 4 other episodes you can watch.
And you know what? We promise to do better. In fact, you know what? Let's make this promise right now. Devin, next time we go to review this movie, let's do a watch-along, just like we did with review number 6 of Sonic Movie 1. So we have to pay attention there.
And I have another idea. After that, we invite David on to watch the watch-along.
And, he's never seen that movie, so it'd be the funniest thing is if his first time watching Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is in 2 years' time watching us watch the watch-along. Okay.
That's a great idea. We
know what?
That's so original that we just did that, huh?
In 4 years, we could do the same thing with Sonic 3.
Now that's an idea.
But, we'll be 34 years old by then, so who knows?
That's scary to think about, actually.
Yeah, planning some of this stuff out years away is strange. We were, what? This was 6 years ago. We were 24.
27.
We were 24 when we first started this podcast. Right? It was 2019.
You're right.
That was 6 years ago. So our 6th anniversary was like last month.
I mean, that was how it felt when we did the watch-along of the first movie. Watch-along of the watch-along, should say, of the first movie, where I was like, wow, there is like elements of that year when we were talking about it and we were making jokes and how some of those jokes came to fruition.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of hard to envision 34-year-old us. I mean, that's scary to think that there's an inevitable Sonic 4 at some point that we commit to, that we're going to be 40.
Right.
Reviewing that movie at some
for
point.
that movie, right? It would have been, right? And
by the time we do a watch along for the 4th movie, yeah, we're gonna be in our 40s. So, like,
yeah, wow, this is the life we're choosing. We've chosen this. The bit needs to remain strong. Hey, if you like this, maybe pull out your credit card and hit the like button.
Pull out your credit card and hit the like button.
I'd like to turn
card.
40 and say this was successful. I'd like to. That's 10 years time, so we got some time.
Yeah.
But you know what takes time is this 2-hour-long movie.
I forgot it was 2 hours.
2. Yeah. I don't feel like it was a bad 2 hours. I feel like nothing here felt like it needed to be cut for the sake of time. You know what I mean? Like, we always like to say 90 minutes is a perfect starting point for a movie. Like, if you can't make more than that, do better. If that makes sense. If you want to go longer than that, make it worth it, or make sure that what you do have isn't cuttable. And this, I feel like if you were to cut this down to 90 minutes, you would be missing stuff. The adventure searching for stuff would feel even more quick and like, oh, I guess we're here already. Or you would probably cut probably 20 minutes worth of the wedding stuff, and that would have made that feel like a very lame, B plot type of thing.
It'd feel very rushed at some point in the movie. It was going to be rushed. I think what is great about this movie, and like I said, we were kind of distracted watching it the 5th time here, but and I stood on this when we watched the 3rd movie, and I think one of my biggest issues with the 3rd movie is the pacing of that movie and like how quick it goes through some things for the sake of, we want to get you that fun action scene that you're all wanting, which cool, but there's still elements of movie making that I wanted in the third movie. And in this movie, I think going from that to this just felt, I stand on that being like, I think this movie just, the pacing is so much better. They let jokes breathe. They know when to do more jokes or when to, keep it focused on a setting. There's not too many cuts back and forth. Like that wedding scene that we're talking about, I'm sure there's Sonic fans out there who hate that whole segment.
Absolutely, yeah.
But that whole scene was made for adults and parents maybe who don't care about Sonic as much and are bringing their kids, that they would find something comedic in it. I know we found it comedic because it did feel like randomly this movie's a romantic comedy in a sense. And
it works.
It works halfway through the movie. It still holds up. I was laughing more at those bits than I was the Sonic bits in this go around. Rewatching this maybe I think solidified some opinions on how I felt about Sonic 3 actually.
Yeah, actually.
But I'm curious what your thoughts are maybe in that regard.
I got a couple things about that. And this is gonna sound sacrilege, even to me. Like I hate the fact that I'm about to say that. I think Knuckles was more imposing of a villain of an equal match for Sonic than Shadow was. Honestly, I feel like in the introduction. Shadow has that cool factor, and he has the
flashiness to him. But like at the end of the day,
we are sympathetic towards him. But like Knuckles had that imposing, like, let me put it this way: Shadow felt like a match for Sonic. Knuckles felt like he was stronger than Sonic. Like he was going
to kill him straight up.
Yeah.
That first time he meets him, he was going to choke him out at the tree.
Yeah, and then he gets hit by a police car. And then the second thing is too, you're talking about like Sonic 3 kind of rushing too much through a lot of its stuff to get to the fun action stuff. I remember walking out of this movie, and I still feel this way to a degree, that like, oh man, there isn't enough of the Sonic adventuring with Tails. Like, as much as of a person who hates the Rise of Skywalker as one could be, did I say that? Does that sentence get formed correctly in my brain? Rise of Skywalker was we need to get this MacGuffin to get this MacGuffin to get this MacGuffin to get this MacGuffin. As much of that movie is, but like that's an easy way to anally bead together an adventure, right? We journey to a thing. We journey to a thing. We journey to a thing, right?
Yeah.
This movie. We got to go and we got to get the compass, you know what I mean? And then we get the compass, now we're going to go find the emerald, right? Like there is that kind of, anal bead storytelling, right, with MacGuffins. I would have, liked more of that, to be honest. Like, maybe there could be an extra half an hour of an awesome thing to find in there. There's obviously you're opening yourself up to a lot more problems by doing that stuff. I'm not saying that is like a good thing to do. But still, that was what I was feeling about that movie. And Sonic 3, I definitely wanted it to be longer for a lot of that stuff because they rushed. But the difference between Sonic 3 rushing and this movie, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 rushing, is that Sonic 3 was rushing to important set pieces where we had that type of character development stuff, and with especially with Shadow happening during these scenes, versus Sonic 2, where a lot of the stuff, like the snowboarding, was longer than it needed to be, in a sense, because they just had time to kind of play around with that, versus like that equivalent in Sonic 3, let's call it like the motorcycle chase sort of in the beginning, that happens really quickly because we get the idea, okay, we need to move on though. Sonic 2 is rushing to stuff, but there is never a sense of like, we need to have all of this stuff packed in there. There wasn't that much stuff that they needed to have, which then allowed them to like spend time with Tails and have Tails be a character who has, he's got something that he's concerned about. He feels like he's letting Sonic down. That very basic, type of story for that character, but you got to have one there. Sonic 3, I feel like Tails and Knuckles didn't really have anything at all. They were just there because we don't have time for that stuff. So even though I feel like both movies were rushing and I wanted more from both movies, Sonic 3 critically needed it, where Sonic 2 didn't need it. I just wanted it because I was having fun, right?
Yeah.
Do you kind of feel the same way, or do you oppose?
I think I wouldn't use the word rushing.
Differently?
I wouldn't use the word rushing for Sonic 2. I think there is a good pace throughout. Like, I think like I said, they don't cut away to other scenes too much, except when it's to build tension. With like the snowboarding scene, like it starts off them exploring the cave, the mountain there, and we have the dialogue when Eggman and Knuckles show up. You have them fight, and the temple's destroyed. Sonic gets out of it, but then they spend a good like another 5 minutes of him fighting the robots. They make it still fun and Sonic-y in that sense. But then as it like the stakes start to be like, oh shit, this avalanche is gonna hit us, or Knuckles is gonna kill us, whatever, that's when we're gonna call into that wedding scene. And that wedding scene I think is paced decently enough that we can build up that tension. But before that, it really was just like, okay, now it's time for what are the humans doing in Hawaii? All right, what is happening now with Sonic? Okay. And I feel like it was taking its time in a good way. I just feel like it's just a better movie, like storytelling that way compared to the third movie, where the third movie I feel like they pendulum swung a little bit too much with like, we need to have more action in this. Even though I think there's a lot of action in this movie, I think it's definitely, it was a step up from the first movie. And don't get me wrong, the third movie definitely, like, I think took maybe 2 steps up above this one. But it just felt like the stakes were, even the fact that Sonic 3 is all about in space and like the Earth is at risk, I still felt like the stakes were higher in this at moments because of, like you said, the power levels of Knuckles. Like I said, Knuckles comes in, and Eggman comes back, by the way. He doesn't know about there being a Master Emerald until right before Knuckles is about to basically kill Sonic or knock him out, whatever. But
right.
Eggman went back to basically just get revenge on Sonic there, and that's his motive up until that point, until he hears about a Master Emerald. And I feel like they just kind of build up with that, when the third movie just was immediately like, okay, here's Shadow, the first 5 minutes,
here's
which is
the
fine.
Grandfather too early, and that's my biggest problem with that movie is Gerald. But I feel like
there's too many plot lines they were trying to like squeeze in there, and then not enough growth for all the characters. I still felt like they dropped the ball with Agent Stone and Robotnik's relationship, because it's shown in this movie that like Robotnik is using him again, but even more so, he wants to be with Knuckles most of this movie until the end of the movie where they're teaming up again. It kind of feels like a reunion there at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, the pacing is just a lot better in this. I don't know if I would use the word rushed, but for a 2-hour movie that's made for kids to still have entertaining parts for adults, because I stood on that in the third movie. I'm like, folks, if you're not a Sonic fan, this third movie is just, you're gonna probably be rolling your eyes probably at this movie. You're gonna be like, oh, this is cool,
yeah,
but like this isn't a good like movie. Like as a like, doesn't have good the best storytelling. It's kind of just, here you go, here's the action you wanted, Sonic fans, which is fine, whatever. But compared to this movie, I feel like there's a much better balance of still having Sonic shit in it, action, human characters are entertaining. And I think I still agree with you to a certain extent of like, we wanted maybe more Sonic adventure-y stuff, and they played it a little bit safe in this movie. Coming from the first movie, we were like, oh, they played it safe, but in a way that's smart because of it's Sonic the Hedgehog.
In the way a studio executive would want, right?
Yeah. But then the second one was like, okay, like, and I was really hoping the third movie would be that. I know we're talking maybe too much about the third movie, but I think this is our first time watching Sonic 2 with the context of another sequel to it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I don't know.
And the Knuckles show, right? Yeah, because the Knuckles show,
yes.
Yeah. We haven't been able to review this movie since that awful show came out. I wouldn't say, okay, I take back the awfulness of it. I was just like really disappointed in the Knuckles show. So like,
they wanted to tell a different story, which is whatever. But like, they
wanted to tell a cheap story too, as well. You're gonna pay HBO premium pricing for this television show, but we don't want to spend that money for a Knuckles show. Yeah, and I mean, like, the character of Knuckles, like I said, I felt like he was more imposing in this movie. His voice also, for both the Knuckles and Tails, their voices changed from this movie to Sonic 3. Like, they just sound a little bit different in that third movie. Knuckles doesn't quite have... I mean, Idris Elba is British, number one, so he's not... He's doing, like, a tribalistic kind of voice. I don't know what area of the world I would even target with that, but he's not even doing his normal voice. He's doing like a version of his American voice that is more,
I'm an Aztec warrior kind of
more Hulk
voice,
like maybe
Hulk
like
I guess
that. And and Tails obviously is she's trying to sound like a little boy, right, like a 6-year-old boy type of thing, and so both of their voices I know change a bit in Sonic 3. So coming back to this, I was like, oh, that's right, Tails. There is a little bit of a difference there.
Because Tails got a couple years older.
Right, sure. I mean, maybe they had that thought, They've shown Sonic is a lot taller.
Well, in Sonic 4, movie. It's going to be a 30-year jump cut, and then they're all going to be old.
Dude, they are so 100% going to show... Maybe not interact with necessarily, but show one of those characters is older in the future, and blah, blah,
I just imagine a Tails with a gray beard, just like a long gray beard, like a wizard.
Yeah, just thinking about Knuckles in this movie versus Knuckles in the show afterwards, pretty similar, although a little bit more. I don't want to say dumb, but like they really played up in that show. Knuckles isn't from here. And he can only take what he sees and interpret that through the lens of his upbringing, which is all about honor and proving yourself type of thing.
And sometimes I feel like it doesn't work because there's some moments where I feel like he does know of human things, but then other times they use it as a joke. And I find that a bit... I mean, whatever. It's a kid's show, like kids movie, kids show at the end of the day. So I didn't really... It's not like a huge, like, oh my God...
That joke
like they messed it up, but like
there's this the word is 2 words, baseball, and he is going to say a base of ball, but like why? But because that sounds like a primitive type of thing,
creature,
and that type of that always feels lazy to me. That type of joking, like that's not how the character wouldn't interpret. He wouldn't say that. I just don't.
I forget what part, but there's even one part in this movie where he talks about like the robots. Like he understands robotics as a concept, and it's just like, once again, kids movie, like to suspend your disbelief. It's a red echidna, whatever. But I'm just like
red echidna.
Red echidna. But like I feel like they've been doing it. It's. I think they should have just kept it. Maybe. Not doing it so often. Maybe it's just because we've watched now a show and a third movie that like coming back to this. I think we liked him in the first couple times we've seen this movie, but now with the context, like I said again, it is kind of like, man, yeah, I get it. This guy just doesn't understand this world, but yet sometimes does.
And it just is like
whatever.
We are talking too much about like the future of this, but like whatever. I mean, what else are we gonna talk about? This is the 5th time we've seen this movie. Sonic 3 does a poor job of having Tails and Knuckles be in the movie, first off. There is, yes, Knuckles and Sonic, they argue about, the Master Emerald, and Tails is trying to get Sonic to understand he's part of a team and that, they all can help. He doesn't have to do it by himself. There's those elements in Sonic 3. But for the most part, those two characters by themselves don't have anything, right? It's almost like, yep, this is the 8th Marvel movie featuring this character. They're just there. They're done. We don't need to like focus too much on them. They're a supporting character for the main thing. That by Sonic 3, Tails and Knuckles already feel like that, and they were introduced one movie prior, right? What that does, though, is not set them up for the next movie. What are they going to do in the next movie besides be there, right? What are they going to do? Sonic, in each of these movies, they actually have a plan for that character in terms of like what is he going to have as his personal growth. Like,
what does he learn?
I have no doubts at all that Sonic 4 is going to be more of that type of thing. If it's time travel and he's taken literally away from the safety net of his friends and family, but he's still like relied on, like how does like I can see what that would be like. But Tails and Knuckles, what are they gonna do besides do their things? You know what I mean? Like they're just gonna.
There was moments in the third movie where I feel like they gave more to Tails, like, or basically they had so much more potential to do, more with, like, I thought we thought from the first trailer was like, oh, is Tails gonna team up with like Agent Stone? That kind of works because they're kind of both the sidekick of the main character, but they're really smart and they are intuitive and they both are great with technology. We thought maybe there was an element there, and like in the movie they have that time when they're together and they kind of talk, but then that's pretty much it. Like.
And that was just to set up something about Eggman, not Tails, right?
Right.
That was just so
there was
that
no
Stone
relationship
can say
being built there.
Yeah,
right.
yeah. So no, I mean,
so I like Tails in this, like, because they give him time to grow. They have the whole scene in the tavern there, like that goes on for quite a bit because they're trying to show the relationship, make it comedic, of course, but like.
It's almost
compared
like
to Sonic
they know,
3,
hey, we can't just
Sonic
have
3
Tails
we
in
have
here. He needs to do something. Yeah.
Yeah, compared to Sonic 3, I think a good comparison is like the Chow Garden, like children's tea place there or whatever. That is like maybe less than 5 minutes, or at least feels that way. It's just a place to where the general tells us about Shadow,
yep.
and then
for
it gets
Stone
attacked
to show up, and the Eggman drone is taken over by Gerald, and like some of these, I think that's mainly my thing with Sonic 3, and I was talking about like the rushing and how that's different Sonic 2 and 3. Each of the big scenes they're trying to go to in Sonic 3 have to accomplish multiple things, right? Like that Chow Garden scene, that scene needs to do multiple things, where Sonic 2, like, you notice a little bit like, oh, when at the beginning of the movie, after the robbery thing, and he goes home and like, oh yes, I have some money in on my foot. I'll put it in this drawer. Oh, I recognize the map or whatever, that type of thing. Yeah, there's stuff like that. That's just easy-ish ways to be like, this is how we're going to set this up type of thing. But like Sonic 3 was a lot like each of these scenes has to do like 3 or 4 things, and that feels like a crowded movie, right? Whereas like this one, it's like, all right, I roll my eyes a little bit of like, now all of a sudden the map has a hologram.
That's the most silliest kind of jump in this movie. I agree. It's like,
but like
this whole time he's never tried that. He's been isolated for how long? He hasn't figured that out at some point.
He just needs to be in his garage for whatever reason, like,
and say maybe specific words. They never really explain it. It just happens. But whatever. For the sake of moving the plot, cool. But Sonic 3 is like definitely that. Feels more often than not, or at least.
And we liked that movie.
By the way, we liked
that
it.
Movie.
We're just very critical of it. God damn,
Put the gun away, please. I will also say this as well. Like, it can't help but compare this movie to Sonic 3 so much. But again, you said it. It was the first time seeing this movie since seeing Sonic 3. Because we are certainly not watching this movie on our own time. This many times, why are we watching this movie again? Unless it's for you, the audience. Another comparison to make, I also find Jim Carrey's Robotnik better in this movie. Funnier in this movie, for sure. I am on the record saying I hate the dance in Sonic 3. I appreciate that they were like, you know what, this is going to be a complicated choreography, because we have to shoot it twice, and you need to be on point, literally. I don't know how many takes it took. I appreciate the effort. I found that just eye-roll inducing. Personally, I am alone on this. And if I'm not alone on this, I'm just going to say I am for your sake out there, all right? You can still like it. A lot of that stuff, the playing off of Gerald, Ivo and Gerald playing off each other did not work at all for me. You give Robotnik someone he can bounce jokes off of who he does not respect, Knuckles, and it works better. Or even you like him more as an asshole.
You like him more as an asshole.
Works.
Yeah.
I don't want him to revere someone and then try to play some of the jokes. Like, they just don't work as well. Like, even just like they get to the temple, the giant owl, and then, the laser on Tails' head. I always appreciate that. There's something on your head, and he does this, but he misses the spot, obviously, because he can't see. And then, Robotnik is there, Knuckles is there, and they shoot up the joint. And he shoots one missile, Sonic grabs it, flips around and throws it, hits the base of the owl statue, and Robotnik's like, ooh, good one. No, I bet that wasn't important. Or he says something like that. I'm like, yeah, that's the type of, like, wit that I appreciate from that interpretation of the character that works. You know what I mean? He doesn't give a shit.
I think my favorite
bit,
favorite like subtle bit in this movie. I mean, I guess it's not super subtle, but like I forgot about it. Was with Eggman, where after the chase, where Tails and Sonic get away from Knuckles, and then Eggman's obviously not as fast as them, but he catches up on a tractor.
Yes,
and it's just like he doesn't acknowledge it, and he doesn't say, "Oh, this tractor." Like, he just gets off the tractor, and because he just shows you it, and I'm like, that's funny. Like, just like what, just like, oh yeah, like he needed a way to get there, but the idea of him taking a tractor probably took hours, and that's funny.
Right. And where did he get it from? You know what I mean? He stole that from someone's yard. Yeah. And like, but I don't need to see that. You know what I mean? It's probably better that I don't see that. Be funnier.
The comedy is a lot better. But I think, once again, going back to my Sonic 3 thoughts in this, like I said, this movie, rewatching it verified it for me, or validated those feelings I had, which was the comedy in the third movie. I think they tried to make it too kid friendly, or too like young adult, maybe. I still think that's a stretch, comedic wise, in terms of like the percentage. The first movie, I think it was like maybe like 20% of the jokes, like, were, I guess you could argue, young adult comedic bits that maybe a kid wouldn't get over their head. This movie's about the same, maybe I think a better balance. I can't give you the exact percentages, but
it feels.
The whole like wedding scene is basically that. Like, it's basically the whole thing's a joke for
there's
adults,
a joke about waxing pubic areas. Like, kids not even gonna understand what that joke's implying. They're gonna think she's talking about her arms or legs or something like that.
Yeah. But like in the third movie, I don't remember any joke that would be adult rated, except for the one I think about, like, I think it was about lactating or something like that, like something to that effect. But that was the only one I could remember, honestly. Like, I'm truly remember in the third movie.
And you know why, right? Because the types of characters who would say that are not the cartoony Sonic characters who are supposed to be kids. And this movie,
right,
Sonic 3, adds more and more and more in there, and they need a lot to do, so you have to cut back on stuff, and you're cutting back on. And then when you have, the Ivo and Gerald dynamic doesn't really lead to that. Ironically, they don't feel clever that much.
I think in this fourth movie we need another volleyball scene, another Top Gun reference. Like, I you know what I mean? Like, I still thought that was really funny. I'm like, oh yeah, I forget that it cuts back to him, Tom being destroyed by the other team of jacked dudes, and then everyone on his team is just kind of like your average people. Even though, by the way, they make it imply that James Marsden isn't ripped in this, but I'm like, bro's definitely got some guns on him.
You see it in the movie. I thought that thought again this time watching it as well. Or I'm like, when he goes to do this, I'm like, I see stuff. You got stuff going on. I can see vascularity going on with your arms.
Like, you're built, dog.
You know what I mean?
Maybe
most of the muscles he's using is in his eyes for his previous movies. Cyclops.
Maybe we get Cyclops in the next movie. Somehow find a way to make it happen. Who knows? But yeah, like a scene like that, like there's no real, like, we don't get that at all in Sonic 3. And I get, like I said, maybe they're trying to like set up stakes or whatnot. But I agree with you. I think it's a combination of those characters don't get as much screen time, but even then, I still think there's ways to do it. At some point in the third movie, and I feel like they made a choice to be like, nope, we got to dial back the comedy because we made some Sonic fan. I'm sure they did get some feedback on the other movies being like, oh, I don't like the adult characters. The Sonic 3 movies...
I bet the wedding overall was not received well. I bet if you were to poll people, oh, just cut the wedding scene. Add more of Sonic and Tails. Guaranteed.
And I think that's why we get Sonic 3 how it is. It really feels... I don't want to compare it to, like you mentioned, Rise of Skywalker earlier.
It's much better than the Rise of Skywalker.
Well, but no. I'm just saying in terms of the pandering almost to this, like, we need to make sure the diehards are happy, so we're going to sacrifice storytelling or certain characters not getting screen time that aren't the main people, even if maybe some people did like those characters. Like, we like the human characters. We're, I think, on record of that. And we didn't get that as much in the third movie because I get it. Shadow's there. You now have 3 other animals to share on screen, but still James Marsden and or Tom Wachowski and the Wachowskis in general get put away really quickly in the third movie, which makes me think in this fourth movie, will we even get them much at all? Like more than 5 minutes?
The beginning of the movie and the end of the movie, because we're going to the future and they are not there because they're dead or whatever.
Or it's an alternate universe and they can't exist. Whatever. Yeah.
But that being said about Sonic 2, this go around made me appreciate the movie more. Obviously, everything we've said, is indicative of that. And obviously, when we watched the movie for the first time, we're like, oh, like, we do like this more than Sonic 1. Like, because you could feel the restraint, you know what I mean, in Sonic 1. Just it feels like a studio that had no faith in the movie at all and did not like the concept. So, very straight, he's the only CG thing in there. It's got to be a real world type of we have the greenhouse stuff in the beginning, but we've spoken this circle over and over again. Sonic 2 is allowed to be more of Sonic the Hedgehog, inherently. So obviously, we liked that stuff, and we think it did a better job with the humor and then the action and stuff in the second movie versus the first. But it is watching this again now with this third one in mind, where I'm like, you know what? No, it isn't. The second movie isn't just good because it is not as restrained as that first movie and therefore is allowed to be more fun. It is actually pretty good at what it's doing. You know what I mean? It's so good, it makes me want more. It made me want there to be more of the stuff that's already in that movie. And that is not a bad thing at all, right? Versus, the third movie, which should have been the Sonic movie. I would have been like, this is the best one ever, and no one will ever top it because it's the Sonic game that I like being made into a movie, sort of, versus like, not that big a fan of the Genesis games as their Sonic fans our age and older would be, you know what I mean? So it doesn't have that big of attachment. The giant Death Egg robot at the end doesn't do it for me versus the Ark, right? In Sonic 3, but like, no, I just feel like this movie is actually, this is a good movie. Watching it again reaffirmed me, this is a good movie. Just on its own, this is a good movie.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's how I felt about the third movie. I'm like, we rank these video game movies on a scale. If you've watched our review episodes, you know how we have a scale. I'm not going to dive too deep into it. We rate it on a video game movie scale. But for me, like, this movie on just a movie scale, like just comparing it to like any movie I see in the theaters this year, like, this is still a pretty solid, fun movie that is made for not just kids, or young Sonic fans, or Sonic fans versus non-Sonic fans. Like, this is a movie that, like, if I have a kid one day, I'm like, I'm gonna put this on the iPad for him. You know what I mean? Like, this is gonna be for them. And then if it's on and I have to be there, and even if I've seen it, they want to watch it 20 times a day, it won't feel as annoying because it's like, hey, at least there's some funny parts in this, or, oh, yeah, I remember this scene or whatnot. But just like I said, it goes back to the pacing. I think that's the biggest, like, part of it. I think one of my critiques of this movie still is I didn't like the final act. I mean, the robot's kind of cool, but like, to have it back in Green Hills felt a little bit restrictive there. But going from that to like the third movie where they maybe went too far of like trying to expand outward maybe, and have too big of stakes in the sense of, like I said, didn't feel like the stakes were that big, but they were trying to be. Like, oh, actually the Earth's at stake. Now everyone knows about this Eggman guy. It just felt like, I feel like we needed another movie or something before to this level of action and craziness.
Well, maybe
I don't know. I keep going back and forth. I don't know.
That. Maybe they thought that, like, oh, we just got to overcompensate. Maybe they see too far in the future and of the whole layout of this, because we might be doing time travel next go around with Sonic 4, right? Like, okay, if we were to do the state of Minneapolis, it's not a state. State of Minnesota is now the scale. Something bigger.
Soda, Minnesota
versus the entire world, right? Oh, a bigger stakes there. Like, would that feel like by the time we then do the world, is it like, okay, I see we're getting bigger, and by the time we do all of time, potentially, right?
Yeah,
like,
I don't know. I keep going back and forth, I guess, in my own head on it. But there's just like something about this movie that just feels the pacing is better. The like jumps to settings is better. Like I said, I wish the final act maybe the robot should have been in the middle at some point in the movie, and then you have a different final act that's somewhere, I don't know. But like at the very least, this just feels like the most complete movie. The third movie felt like they were just trying to cram in bits and pieces of the games that you know and love, trying to show how cool Shadow is, which, don't get me wrong, he's cool, but then also like, oh yeah, we have these other characters we have from the other movies that we shouldn't just straight up get rid of, but like we don't really have time to spend on them, or we don't choose to have time.
Yeah,
I think that's always the thing. There's always a way to do it, like, yeah. And I hate using this example because I feel like it's so overdone, but like, the reason the Avengers movies work is because they've had multiple movies to build up with, sure. And the movie's also 3.5 hours, some of those, right? But still, there's still elements of times when they're learning to breathe and learning how long to keep on a scene, how long to keep in a specific location. Like the first not the first Avengers, but everyone talks about Infinity War, and like it really only takes place in 2 spots. It feels bigger, but it really only takes place in 2 spots. You have the one planet, the red planet there, the Mars-looking kind of planet, and then Wakanda. And then that's pretty much like your 2 big set pieces in that movie.
Yeah.
At the end of the day. But it's 3 hours or whatever, but same thing. And I think that's what this movie does well, is that, it's 2 hours. I thought it was shorter, but I forgot it was 2 hours. But it's because they feel like they're like, here's the 3 set pieces. Green Hills, you have Green Hills, then you have Hawaii, and then you have, I guess, the kind of Siberia wilderness, I guess you could say,
and the ruins,
But even the ruins was kind of quick just to get the Master Emerald and get back to Green Hills. Right. But I'm saying like just what spends the most time? It's those 3. When I feel like in Sonic 3, it's like you have Green Hills for like not even enough to, I would count that as
no Green Hills. They're camping. Remember?
They're don't camping outside home. Of. I think they go home for the quick moment.
I bet that they were camping. No, they never go home. I bet that they had them be camping because they saw the feedback of like Green Hills again. Like, fine, it's not in this movie. They're camping in the woods. They're probably just in Green Hills, but like you don't see the house. You're not seeing the town.
So like I'm not even counting that because it's not even more than maybe 15 minutes total. You have Japan, but even then that feels like that felt very quick in like maybe the first 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah. You have back
space
in time, and you have the abandoned place, right?
And then you have the Ark. But all these moments, like I'm listing all of them off, I'm like, I think the Ark is the only one where I feel like
London with the gun headquarters.
I guess that is
right
in there. I'm just trying to think of like, if you're breaking up by time, like in the second movie, I think they found a better balance of like, okay, we're spending 20 minutes here, 15 minutes here, 10 minutes here, instead of what feels like in the third movie. I could be wrong. I'm sure you could maybe timestamp it and it might be better, but it doesn't feel like it. It doesn't feel like in Sonic 3 that we get time outside of maybe London. And I think the arc is, I feel like, not too bad in terms of just like how long we're in space. It's like the final act. But leading up to that, it just felt like just we're all over the place and nothing really felt impactful. Or it's a flashback, which just feels like the arc, which is in space. Like aesthetically.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on
if that. Does that make sense? Like, I don't know how else better explain it, but like it's just the settings and the pacing.
Granted, we saw that movie twice, right? Versus now 5 times with this movie. Okay, sure. But if I'm sitting here and being like, all right, let me block out Sonic 3, it's tough because my mind wants to be like, we go back to Tokyo and later in the movie, but we don't. It's like London in the daytime or something like that. And like, there's a lot of like locations that feel similar to each other, and we're hopping around, and we show up at the docks in Tokyo at night, I think, to see Agent Stone. Yeah. And there's also the London, I don't know, what's the river that goes through there, whatever river that is. Those in the daytime for the crab to rise out of the water. Like, there's a lot of like similar feeling stuff where like I'm thinking about blocking out this movie and, you know, like,
yeah,
setting it all. I'm like, I'm getting my wires crossed.
I guess because it, like I said, I think it's
where I feel like it is a straight line, right? It's the anal beads I was talking about.
And there's an element of, I think that makes it more digestible though, because you're sitting in one spot at a time.
Oh, it's this part of the movie. Oh, okay.
Yeah. When I feel like that's not saying it's awful in Sonic 3, but it's not good either, like in terms of its breathability in the scenes. And I think that's, watching this movie again, kind of solidifies that. And
I feel like the difference is Sonic 3 has a lot of responsibility for what they're doing with this movie franchise, right? Like, this needs to set up a lot of stuff. It needs to go a lot of places. It needs to do a lot, because we're not going back to this very specific well to pull from again. We got other Sonic game and Sonic, you know, ideas to pull from for future movies. We're not coming back to Sonic Adventure 2 again, so we need to do a lot of it. We need to do it all. But it felt like for this movie, it was like, all right, cool. We dipped our toe in the water with Sonic 1 of like, what's this character like? What's this world like? Now for this one, what do we want to do? Okay, you know what? Let's have the Master Emerald in it. We're not going to just scatter Chaos Emeralds all over the place. That might be too complicated for, like, MacGuffin hunting in the movie, although that, I feel like I think
they could have done it just
fun. It would have been fun.
4 spots in different parts of the globe.
Eggman has 3 of them. We need to get 4 of them because we need the majority, otherwise he wins, type of thing. Okay, sure.
You know, it's a good example of this.
But I might just want to end, if I can quickly end my point here. I just felt like for this movie, they didn't feel like they needed to do so much stuff. Oh my God, how are we going to do it all? It felt like they came to organic conclusions about, like, you know what? Yeah, why don't we have a set piece in the Snowy Mountains? What do we have there? Okay, yeah, let's just have a MacGuffin there that then leads to, you know, we don't want to get to the ruins too quickly. Yeah, let's put the Snowy Mountains in, where Sonic 3 felt like it needed to have all of it. Otherwise, this movie falls apart. Versus you could take out Hawaii or the Snowy Mountains, and like you could still write the story probably without those pieces. Probably fine. You know what I mean? This movie felt like they didn't have stress when they made it. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
No, I mean, I think I'm not gonna say they're perfect by any means. But I think the element of what they're trying to chase, maybe with the third one, that is done better than the second one, but maybe they wanted to keep upping the ante a little bit. There's a recipe they could follow, for better or for worse, of a series that we like, and even Sonic makes a joke of at some point in one of the movies. I think it's the first one.
Fast and the Furious.
Fast and Furious, like those movies, at least the more recent ones, are perfect examples where they're like, this set piece, this next ride. If you look at Fast and Furious as amusement parks, basically different sections of amusement park. It's like, all right, you're in the Mexico section, and we're going to spend the next 25-30 minutes here because we're building up for that one car chase on the highway or whatever. Yeah. And you know what you're here for, which is fine. We love those movies because they don't try to take themselves too seriously anymore. I think people go into them thinking they're serious, but let's be real, they're soap operas with amusement park rides, basically. That's what the movies are at this point. And I feel like Sonic could maybe follow that as a way of storytelling, where like, hey, we know why you're here. If we're gonna maybe dial back the human characters a bit, but keep it still fresh, because there is some great action scene. I think Sonic 3 has the best action scenes in it, hands down. That's not a question. Especially some of the that I liked the Sonic and Knuckles, or not, sorry, Sonic and Shadow fight, especially the Dragon Ball Z kind of bullshit that happens later on. Sure. Whatever. Like, I feel like, you know, even the Sonic games are like this, right? You have a level. Like, okay, this level has these 2 stages in it. This is what it feels like as a boss. Maybe the next Sonic movie needs to do something like that. Kind of follow Fast and Furious. Follow the games even more, of just being like, the first 25 minutes of this film takes place here. Next 30 takes place here. Next 30 takes place here. And then you just have the building blocks there. And like you said, you can weave the MacGuffin to the next thing, to whatever, make it more adventure-y. Or if they're chasing someone, maybe every time they get to the spot, they're one step ahead. Fast and Furious does this. I feel like one of the Batman movies, I think Batman Begins kind of, I guess not Batman Begins, was it The Dark Knight, I think kind of follows that, where the Joker's one step ahead. You know, oh, now this person's hostage. Oh, well, now you got to make a decision, you know, stuff like that, where maybe that would help maybe more for a 4th movie, in terms of still mind up at the ante, but maybe just dial it back in terms of like, what are we here for again? Like, are we really here for the comedic jokes? Okay, like, we can have that. Are we here for the action? Okay, we can have that. But how many characters do we want? Maybe some characters are only in certain parts of this thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Hey, this job for Fast and Furious, we only need Paul Walker and Vin Diesel for this one part of the movie, because for the sake of, we can't have all 20 cars driving down the street of Tokyo to fight one guy. You know what I mean?
And you know what? When you do that, if every Fast and Furious scene was that, guess what? Then the impact is lessened. It doesn't feel as special.
You would have them cutting back and forth. You would have to show everyone's reaction to something, and all of a sudden you have 20 people being like,
because
wow.
Then if you don't, it feels like, oh wait, was Tyrese not in this scene? You know, like, but it feels like, why did he show up here? Yeah, no, I'm with you. I feel like for your Batman analogy there, Sonic 3 is Batman v Superman. Movie is way too complicated for its own good, but I love it. But it's way too complicated, and it fails because it's way too complicated. It is too ambitious for its own good. It cannot be the movie it wants to be. Our advice for Jeff Fowler there and the crew making Sonic 4 currently, right, is don't make it too complicated. Keep it simple. This movie is better than Sonic 3 because of how straightforward it is, easily understandable. At one point, you were talking about having a hypothetical kid who has a hypothetical iPad and a copy of this movie.
Hypothetically.
You would put on that. Hypothetically. Whatever. Jokes, you pirated it. I don't know. Whatever. Hypothetically, you stole it. I don't know. Whatever.
I have the Blu-ray code. My day, it comes with the Movies Everywhere, whatever code on it. That's how I got it.
And those codes expire way too quickly because I never think to redeem any of them, and they're always expired. Because like I do them on iTunes or whatever. Anyway, young kids watching movies, they like the spectacle. They like especially having a lot of the characters in them. If you were to present to this hypothetical kid, which Sonic movie do you want to watch? They're never going to watch that first one again. Unless it's like, oh, I haven't seen this in a while. You know what I mean? Then they'll pick that one. They're going to watch this one or Sonic 3. But I feel like you would be able to tell that they would enjoy Sonic 2 more just because it would make a bit more sense to them as why they're in certain
Or hey,
spots.
my mom and dad laugh more during the second one.
They will not understand that at all. They won't. You don't exist when you're a parent. I'm not a parent, but you don't exist when you're a parent. It is the stuff on the TV that exists to them. They have enough trouble figuring out their own thoughts and feelings about what they're looking at. They're not emotionally intelligent enough to understand what you think about it. But just putting that out there. It's because the movie is straightforward, it is easier for kids to understand. Sonic 3 was a lot of fun as a Sonic fan, but it's way too complicated for its own good. This fourth movie, at least alluding to Sonic CD with Metal Sonic and Amy, implies a time travel aspect. Again, I can sit here and when we did that predictions episode or whatever, where it's like, cool, I think it would be cool if like Amy is like A, from a future, and B, like what if she's like Sonic's daughter or something like that? Like, wouldn't that be cool? It'd be a nice little twist on the Sonic thing, but then at the same time, like, if you do too many of the, well, that would be cool, then it becomes complicated again, right? Like, because someone who was a part of writing this movie is like, time travel, Sonic, what can I pull from? Well, Silver the Hedgehog's from the future. And so is, I guess, Blaze the Cat.
Yeah,
so
I think so.
Are we putting them... I'm not asking you. I'm as the person asking him themselves this. I know my Sonic 06 lore. Thank you very much. It is the most important Sonic game ever. It is more important than 99% of any video game that has ever existed. It is one of the top 10 most important video games of all time. It is the worst video game of all time. Sonic 06, preserve that. Exactly as it is. No fan remakes. But someone's like, all right, cool. If we're doing this time travel thing, what other things could we do? Okay, do we add in Silver? Then what does that mean for that? And like there is a cloud of complications hovering over the script, right? There is something there, and we need someone to be the shooting the golden arrow, the guiding light to strike through this cloud and be like, Amy has gone back from the future to the past. She needs Sonic's help to stop the Eggman army of Metal Sonics, and we need to do that by doing this, then this, then this.
These
then we go
steps.
back to our normal time, and maybe she comes with
everything's
us.
Great.
Maybe
everything's great.
Maybe it's a Dragon Ball Z thing where Trunks, he's from the future where everyone dies. Goku dies of a disease, which is so funny to me. No one beats him. He dies of cancer or some virus.
That's
or whatever. And he's Vegeta's son. And guess what? Trunks doesn't go back in the future. He stays here because his future's dead. You know what I mean? There's a Fire Emblem game where they do that too, where it's like, no, the kids from the future, they're not going to the shitty future. They're going to stay here. Maybe that's why Amy does. She stays, she hangs out, but like no more future stuff, right? Let's not be in like the Marvel multiverse thing, or it looks like I watched that awesome Superman trailer. And then people are like, oh, my God, they're doing multiverse shit in here. Did you see the Peacemaker Season 2 trailer? Oh, my God, he goes through a door. And why are they doing this so soon?
To be fair, I think the Peacemaker thing, I'm just going to have a hunch. Lock it in from Devin's prediction because I'm a Peacemaker fan of the first season. I think they're going to make fun of it. I think it's a one-off bit, and they just show it in there just to build some hype. And then I think it's just going to be a joke because based off how the first season went, anytime they were like, oh, yeah, this could maybe have bigger stakes into like this MCU level or DCEU, whatever it's called, universe. They're like, nah, bro. Like,
you know what I think that is? I think that's them being like, James Gunn is restarting all this DC stuff, but he wants the things he worked on to be real, to matter, to count. Okay, you know what? He walked into the DCEU version of Peacemaker. He's actually from, the now our current one, and this is our way of writing out that, like, yes, that did happen. Because again, in that Suicide Squad movie, Knuckles, aka Idris Elba, has said to have shot Superman with a kryptonite bullet. There's no way in hell that's going to be canon in this movie. But in that universe it was, and that was that Peacemaker and blah, 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 whatever. To avoid doing that in Sonic, because they really should not, I will accept another time travel thing if it's just Silver coming from another time, and we don't go there, and it doesn't matter.
It's like, no
I'll
use.
accept that if that's a second time we're doing that stuff, but I want a one and done simple story. I do not want Sonic to go crazy. I do not want a Sonic Generations movie where there's two Sonics. You understand that, right? I don't want that.
But we know Jeff Fowler and the crew has said multiple times their goal is to make an Avengers style universe with these movies. Like that'd be a dream goal of them. Luckily, video game movies, I don't know, say luckily because it sounds facetious, but in a way, I think there is a slight benefit of video game movies historically been doing bad in the box office, and studios are still, to a certain extent, afraid to take risks unless you're a 30-plus-year-old franchise at this point, or an Amazon Prime show. One lucky part about that is that I still think they're making these movies with one movie at a time. I don't think in Sonic 2 they were like, okay, well, we can set up in Sonic 3 to do this. It's clear because
there was no Sonic 4 when Sonic 2 was being made. They wanted to make a Sonic 3, obviously, but you're right. But
it's clear in Sonic 3 in that where it was like, I mean, I think they Telly traded the very first movie where like, we're just going to tease a character at the end just because, hey guys, if this movie does well, we'll go in that direction.
Right.
You know what I mean? Which I'm already, I think after this third movie, just stop. I'm also just sick of post-credit scenes at this point. Even the stuff I like, I'm like, just, it's okay. Movies can end when the credits roll.
Well, they do after the credits. You got to have that final scene. I think of it this way too. Sometimes it's like,
but everyone's doing it now. I have to look it up every time, and I'm like, it's like a movie that's like a one-off whatever, and it's like, oh, actually there was at the end credits to tease a sequel. I'm like, do we need a sequel though? Like it's cool as is. It's okay. Not everything needs to be this big grandiose thing. That's life, man. We have a start date and we have an end date. There's no end credits after credits scene.
Hey, you know what? Here's what I want. This is really mean to say. I'm gonna say no to you. I'm just gonna say no. I'm gonna shut you down right here. I want Sonic to keep going on forever, but I want them to stop in a spot that they don't want to stop at. I want them to plan out movie 10 and they stop at 8 because of financials. I don't want them to finish, if that makes sense. There's a lot of stories I love with when it comes to TV shows and movie franchises.
See, I'm the opposite. I think
there's a lot of TV shows and movies that I love where the ending's always just so unsatisfying. And I love it. I love
you don't want to get
like,
hurt.
You know
you don't want to get hurt. That's that's the thing.
I would love if Lost ended with season 3's finale. Kate, we got to go back. Beautiful ending right there. We don't go back. You know what I mean? I love that type of stuff.
I think it's your fear of getting hurt. You're afraid of getting hurt from you're getting too bought in into it.
A lot. All right, my co-host moved to another state twice, and I'm not following him this time. You know what I mean? We're done. I mailed you a PlayStation 3. I think it cost me $60 to mail that thing. I don't know if I'm getting that back, just logistically. No. Not anytime. Whatever. That's how Sonic needs to be. I don't need to know what they have planned as an ending, which they have not planned. I don't want them to reach the ending that they want to reach. I want to be like, you know what?
But I think the issue is you run into the MCU issue where it's like now what if they keep making money and then there is no end in sight, so that they just keep making it?
Then I stop watching. We're 45. We're on Sonic the Hedgehog 8 review number 2 the week after. We've been following the same formula. We would have, if we're 45, it's 15 years from now, we would have been on Sonic the Hedgehog 1 review part 22. 22. The watch along of the watch along of the watch along of the watch, just going down the line.
I only want to keep it up because I think that's super funny. We're kind of stroking our own dicks here, but I do think no one's done that. All right, no one has watched a movie every year onward and then done a watch along and then we'll do a watch along.
No one has had the restraint to do this on a yearly basis because plenty of people would shoot their load to keep your jacking off analogy going, where they would do it week by week or month by month. No, we haven't seen this movie in a year, and we're not going to watch it again until another year. By the time David gets to watch this movie, Sonic 4 will probably have been out. He's that far behind, and he does not get to watch this.
We're basically edging more than anything. We're just But like you said, Ethan, financially, at some point, maybe that's how this show ends. Is that there is no ending.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, maybe that's what I'm worried about. Put the gun away and pull out your credit card. Like, subscribe. we've rambled on. We've reached, I feel like, the end of this episode. What this actual purpose of this review is to do, by remembering and looking back at what our 5th review of Sonic 1 was ranking the movie in the franchise. So you know what?
On the Sonic scale. The Sonic movie scale.
On the Sonic scale. So we have one entry so far, Sonic the Hedgehog, released in 2020. That's number 1 so far.
Wow.
Let's contabulate our votes.
Held on to
here.
a top spot for a whole year.
Let's
2 years.
2 years, yes. Let's contabulate our thoughts and really think hard. Okay, where does Sonic 2 fit in with this? Do you have an idea?
Decision. I have an idea. I do have an idea, though.
Can I just say mine first? Just in case.
You know what?
Do you mind?
You go for it.
Okay. I think this movie is better than Sonic 1. This is my new number 1. How about you?
See, I was going back and forth. So
really?
I'm trying to make sure this is right. I'm trying to make sure this is right.
So many options. I understand.
We only get one opportunity for this. There is no
You're right.
episode.
Let's take our time and really think here.
Because when we do the watch along, then that's really where the journey starts.
Right.
And anything we said prior is our actual opinion. So this is basically our last time having an opinion formally, because the watch along is I think we talk about it at the end. I think we did last time, but really it's the start of us just doing a watch along of inevitably, or in a constant spiral.
For review number 6 moving onwards is being pleased with ourselves. It's not the movie itself anymore. So you're right.
Right. So I just want to make sure.
Okay.
We're basically putting this in the vault.
We talked too much about Sonic 3. We barely talked about Sonic 1. Let's really think here. What is Sonic 1? Sonic 1 is a restrained but enjoyable journey, a buddy cop movie. It's got a lot of jokes. It's got more jokes per action, on that ratio there. We got a straightforward, literal road trip journey, so it's very easy to visualize, right?
Green Hills to San Francisco. That's it.
Exactly, with some
back
pit
again.
stops on the way.
There and back again.
Yes, Sonic's tail, a hedgehog's tail. So it's a very respectably lean movie, right? This movie, Sonic 2, it's thicker on the bone, but it's got the juicy fat to back it up. It's not just more tough meat there. It's actually got some of that flavor with it as well, with a couple more characters, a lot more humor, and more action as well. And it's still, generally speaking, a bit of a straight line. It's not as straight a line as Sonic 1. We are cutting back and forth a little bit, but generally speaking, it's all in service of the one path.
We take some side roads, but we still get to our destination.
Exactly.
As opposed to just taking the highway, like in the first movie.
Exactly. That's all we have to rank so far. So, between Sonic 1 and Sonic 2, where do we place these?
I mean, even going in, even before watching this again, I mean, the answer was yes, Sonic 2 is better than the first movie. It builds on the first movie. I think it does everything we liked about the first movie and builds on it. The pacing's good. This is, like I said earlier, this is a pretty solid, just general movie. Not even like a video game movie scale or a Sonic movie scale. This is just a good movie. I need to put this back in Letterboxd because I haven't officially put this on Letterboxd. I'm going to do it in Letterboxd
okay.
Hopefully today. I think I gave
quick question.
Yes.
You're not able to put the same movie on Letterboxd multiple times, are you?
Yes, you can. You can review it multiple. Yeah.
Dude, come on. Make an account just for our channel. That's not your personal things, and have Sonic 1 be in there 7 times, and this movie in there 5 times.
I'd have to remember the dates because you have to do it by date.
Check our YouTube channel.
You can
search. Search. You figure it out.
I guess I could. But
I like this.
But yeah, so I think out of 5 stars, I think I would give Sonic. I think I gave Sonic 3 a 3 out of 5. I'd probably give this like a 4. Sonic 2 is like a 4 for me, and I think the first Sonic movie's maybe a 3.5.
I would say also a 3. because it's got it's like a parabola of like stuff, right? And Sonic 3 is on one end of the parabola of stuff, and Sonic, well, the original is on the other end of the parabola, and Sonic 2 is somewhere in the actual parabola of stuff, right? Too much, not enough. Sonic 2 is somewhere in there, and I feel like, personally, Sonic 3 and 1, I would both give 3 stars, and Sonic 2 I would give 4. Not enough, too much. Sonic 2 is somewhere in
I'll say 2 on my letterbox. I give movies 5s, even if I feel like they're not like perfect. Like to me, it's just like 5s are just, these are really good, but I don't have like there's no like 6 out of 5. Like if there was, then that'd be saved for like, I mean, I have my 4 favorite movies
the S rank is,
yeah,
right? In a sense, that is the 6 out of 5 because it's a little bit, it's a stamp, a plus at the end of A, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So anyways,
long story
short.
We gave Sonic 1 an A, and we gave Sonic 2 an S. We gave Sonic 3 a B. But
on
we
the
haven't...
video game movie scale.
Right.
But on the Sonic movie scale, I still think it's the same. I mean, like, this feels like it still is even just one of the better video game movies. I think if we had to re-rank it even on the video game movie scale, I still would give it an S just because of it has all the intangibles that you look for, like in terms of, like I said, it's a pretty solid general movie, very good video game movie. And after rewatching this, I'm like, yeah, man, this is better than Sonic 1. Who knows? Maybe my opinion will change when we rewatch Sonic 3. I don't think it will, but you never know. I mean, I think this is, I would say almost easily better than Sonic 1.
Okay. There we have it. Our new
that's
ranking.
That's it. We basically every time we watch this movie from now on, it's going to be in the context of either in passing or on this show to do a watch along. That's crazy to think about. It's locked in.
Yeah. Sonic 2 at number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Sonic 1 at number 2. We shall see where we place Sonic 3. We also need to consider, just you and me, thinking this out here, how we want to incorporate potential rewatches of the Knuckles show, because we did not do the pattern that we did with the Sonic movies, where we watched it the opening night and then a week later watched it again. To be fair, it's a lot more
stuff to watch.
But then that's part of the reason why is like, well, there's just too much more. So we already are out of that pattern. We can blaze a new trail when it comes to these shows.
Every new president, we got to do it.
Well, we have a new one
but we have 4 years.
My point being is that maybe we consider rewatching the Knuckles show in a few weeks, maybe after another major video game show has been watched and reviewed, right? We reconsider Knuckles again, having had the hype dissipate and having had Sonic 3 in the rear view. Let's come back in a few weeks' time, maybe episode 255, right? Watch Knuckles again and be like, all right, this is what we think of it. And then maybe there we jump straight into ranking it. And maybe we watch it then in a couple years after that. You know what I mean? Like maybe we watch it after each new movie.
Every 10 years we watch it.
Whatever the rate is for new movies.
Every 25 years we watch it.
We watch it in a few weeks' time, and then we don't watch it until Sonic 4 is out, right? We keep it within that pan. We're keeping it. It's side content. It's not a main game to repeat.
Maybe we have David watch it, since he doesn't get to experience it.
He won't be able to do that until after he's watched this movie, which he cannot do until 2027.
Which it'd be funny though. It'd be funny though.
I don't want to do that to him. 2 years' time, David gets to watch Sonic 2 with us as the watch along. But I do like the idea of having an episode where it's just David by himself and he watched Knuckles and now he needs to talk to the camera about
That's so
Knuckles.
awkward. That's so awkward. I like it, but he won't do it.
Or maybe it is like the three of us, but we're not recording us. We're only recording him anyway. And it's edited in a fashion where it feels more like a monologue. I don't know.
A monologue.
Well, if he's not talking to anyone, it's a monologue, right? I guess he can the audience.
We need to have him do a video essay. We could be on any context, but it has to fill at least an hour about the Knuckles show. He can do whatever, like, he can be like, oh, I wanted to focus on this one element, or I want to do a full review. Whatever it is, he has to do 1 hour of nonstop video essay style,
1 hour nonstop video essay style per episode. We literally have blocked out. There's 6 episodes?
I think.
So we would block out 6 episodes of the Sonic movie show, because we didn't do that with they dropped them all at once, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like it wouldn't.
There was no like mid-season, and then we came back 6 months later to finish it out.
Yeah. So we'll think about that, but at the very least, we are going to watch Knuckles at least one more time, and that'll be in like 7 weeks or so, 7 episodes from now. I want it to be soon, but like not something we need to actually plan right now.
Or we can wait closer to when Sonic 3 comes out.
Sonic 3 is already out.
When we rewatch Sonic 3, because that'll be in Christmas time. Like if we watch it in like November, little Thanksgiving.
We'll see.
You and your family can watch the Knuckles.
You can do that at any time. 4th of July. That's a time for gathering. There's
we go outside for fireworks.
The flames of disaster. I have that. You know what? Maybe I'll
throw
That's
what I say when the fireworks blow off my hands. I'm just like, flames of disaster.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Well, thank you all for watching. Why don't I hit this button over here? Thank you for watching the Sonic Movie Show. Remember, we are basically every week, we review video game movies and we talk about them and blah, blah, blah. Maybe we got a super fun special episode about a Sonic video game coming up in a couple episodes. There is a button down over there. It is the button of the channel's logo. You're going to click that button and then you're going to hit subscribe. Although I think that is the subscribe. And then next to it is something else. I don't know.
It could be anything. It could be the previous episode. It could be, sometimes we forget completely. And sometimes
it hasn't even popped up yet, because it has to be 15 seconds is the longest you can have for this on screen. And we've gone over it. Nothing is there yet. There's still nothing there. Okay, now something has popped up.
Maybe. There's a chance.
Probably. Yes. We're on a bunch of platforms: Twitter, Instagram, Bluesky, Threads. You can follow us there at srankproductions. And also, if you wanted to listen to this podcast because you're driving a car and you're like, this is too dangerous, and I didn't pay for YouTube Premium, so if I close my phone, I don't get to listen to you. Well, there's Apple Podcasts and there's Spotify, and we're on.
And rank us on that if you can, because I feel like we don't get reviews on. I don't know if people still do that anymore.
And I don't check. But you know what? Maybe I'll check just for you, because there it is. Now the subscribe thing has popped up. Yes. So follow us there. Write a review. Yes, I agree. I appreciate everyone that does that. If you've done it already, I definitely saw it. We'll see you next time for another episode. As we always like to end the Sonic Movie Show, we end it this way. It's a very particular saying we say. Do you remember, Devin?
I believe.
Tails and Knuckles out.
Flames disastering.